I haven't said that China's supplying materials. In fact, my position is that Russia is a modern sovereign nation state, and the Russian military cannot be held hostage by supply chain issues when it comes to critical munitions. There's a lot of people saying that Russia would be acquiring artillery shells from China, things of that nature. And I just don't see it, because at the end of the day, China is a sovereign state that is susceptible to outside pressures. China could cut a back deal to limit supplies to Russia at a time when Russia needed supplies the most. I don't think Russia allows that kind of vulnerability to be created. Russia is buying, I think some military uniforms for some of its militia units. I think Russia is getting some body armor from Chinese sources, things of that nature. But in terms of strategic, I think the other way around is what I did mention, that China, when their defense minister came to Russia, that China might have been in the market for some Russian technology, especially the Kinzhal missile, which China would definitely benefit from if there was to be a shooting war between China and the United States. But Russia's not in the business of buying significant Chinese technology. China could be in the business of buying Russian technology.
Does China have a dog in the fight between Russia and Ukraine?
They have an indirect dog, meaning that they're before the grace of God both them. The collective West has lined up against China just as they lined up against Russia prior to this conflict beginning. China is threatened by economic sanctions from the United States. NATO is threatening to expand its reach into the Pacific for the sole purpose of containing China. So China is looking at what's happening with Russia and recognizing that if Russia loses this fight, it's going to be a bad time for China, that it's in China's best interest that Russia prevail in this fight. China has to be careful not to articulate that too loudly, because that would fall afoul of their Westphalian principles of non-interference. But I think China's made it clear by its actions, not its words, its actions, that it's behind Russia.
It's funny that you should mention the Far East and NATO. Our friend Jack Devine has a piece out there lauding the prospect of G7 joining NATO. Now, that would put Canada, New Zealand, and Japan in NATO. Are these people crazy that Article 5 would apply to New Zealand and Japan?
They are crazy, but unless I'd have to take a look at the structure. I don't know if the G7 would. First of all, the G7 is a non-governmental entity. G7 has no military. The G7 is a group. Most of the G7 are already NATO members. So I don't believe that the G7 could join NATO. G7 could they could enter into a relationship where they consult on a regular basis, but they already do. It makes no sense, because the United States is a G7 member. It's going to consult with itself. United Kingdom, G7. Italy, G7. Germany.
Well, remember, it used to be G8 before they kicked Putin out.
Kicked the Russians out. Yeah. I mean, look, if that's what NATO wants to do, then, look, NATO's a failing entity. There's some people, and I think Jack Devine might count himself as one, who views Vilnius as a great success, that NATO has never been more unified. I would ask Jack to consider a couple things about that NATO unity. Hey, Jack, what about Turkey and Greece? They're both NATO members. They hate each other. They're about to verge to go to war against each other on a daily basis.
Here's one of the reasons why the United States. Jack said that as a result of Vilnius, NATO is now solidified, and it's time for implementation. Implementation of what, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, Stoltenberg's fantasy of a 300,000-man rapid response force. Hey, Jack, they got a 40,000-man rapid response force. How rapidly can they respond to anything? And the answer is they can't, because it exists on paper only. That's the problem with all of NATO. I challenge NATO to put together a multi-divisional force capable of sustained offensive operations anywhere in the world today, right now. Multinational multi-divisional force. They can't do it. Can't do it, Jack, because why? They don't know how to fight anymore. Why, Jack? Because they were in place. You started a war back in the 1980s, Afghanistan. And they bled out in Afghanistan. They got beaten in Afghanistan. They spent 20 years learning how to kill Afghan wedding parties, and they forgot how to kill Russians. And now we have a situation where the only war they can fight against Russia is a proxy war, sacrificing Ukrainian life, and they're losing that one badly.
Here's President Biden right at the very end of Vilnius. He actually has left Vilnius and he's in Helsinki. So this is 2 weeks ago. I think this will raise your blood pressure just a little bit, Scott.
The issue of whether or not this is going to keep Putin from continuing to fight, the answer is Putin's already lost the war. Putin has a real problem. How does he move from here? What does he do? And so the idea that there's going to be what vehicle is used, he could end the war tomorrow. He could just say, I'm out. But what agreement is ultimately reached depends upon Putin and what he decides to do. But there is no possibility of him winning the war in Ukraine. He's already lost that war. Imagine anyway, he's already lost that war.
Putting aside the syntax and the skittishness, he obviously doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, I mean, it's a purely political statement. It's pure spin coming out of Washington, D.C., because the alternate reality that to Biden's reality is ground truth, and Russia's winning this war across the board. There's not a single parameter that one can put out there that says Russia's losing. They're winning economically, they're winning geopolitically, and they're winning militarily. Russia's the one with a mobilized defense industry right now that's cranking out, modern military equipment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The United States is the one that's having a hard time getting additional artillery munitions built for Ukraine because we don't know how to do it. Where no defense industry is willing to invest billions of dollars into bringing up a new production line. And he talks about, what role or what terms Putin is going to put on. Putin's not putting any terms out there. Putin's winning. It's the United States, I would remind Joe Biden. He would know this because he's the one that authorized Jake Sullivan to do this. It's reaching out to Europe and reaching out to other partners to find a venue for negotiating an end to this conflict. It's the United States, it's desperate to bring this war to a conclusion before it gets even worse. We're the ones telling the Ukrainian that not only are you not going to be a member ever, that you're going to have to settle for a peace that requires you to concede territory. Now, we're not saying this publicly, but we're saying it behind the